Welcome everybody to Magnolia on Money,
where we discuss everything financial from the economy to retirement.
This is Magnolia on Money. Welcome back everybody. Today's show on federal retirement system, we're going to discuss how do we take our high three average that we talked about in previous shows. You know, we talked about you find your high three consecutive years of service. How do we take that and then add in the next piece of the equation, which is
years of service.
That's right.
And the percentage computation of how do we get to that FERS annuity. So, like Ed said earlier, we talked about our high three. In this scenario, it was the last 3 years that they worked, which gave us a high three average of $90,000. So we know that's our high three. So the next step is to figure out how many years of service did you have in the federal retirement system. Most of the time you can find this on your leave and earnings statement. It'll give you a computation date of when you started first putting into the FERS retirement system. So we figure out how many years do you have in. For this example, we'll use that you have 30 years into the system, but by the time you retire. Where it gets a little trickier is in order to give you a percentage point, they have two different scenarios of where you can get, based on your annuity, you can use the multiple of 1, or under certain circumstances, you can use 1.1. So you get a little extra percentage. But majority of people use the 1% because in order to get that extra bump in percentage points, it takes you being at least 62 years old by the time you retire, and you have to have at least 20 years of service. So if you retire before 62, like most people do, or if you retire after 62 but don't have 20 years of service, well, everybody else uses the 1%. So for this circumstance, we'll use the 1%. So the way you calculate your FERS annuity is you need to take your high three, your $90,000, and then you multiply that times the amount of years of service that you had. So 30 years of service times your high three, that gives us $270,000 whenever you do the math. So you take that, and in this equation, we're using the 1%. So you take that $270,000, multiply that times 1%, which gives you an annual amount that your FERS pension will be. Now this is gross. This is before any taxes are withheld. This is before any survivor benefits. This just gives you the highest possible FERS pension it could be, which ends up being $27,000 a year in your FERS pension.
So Forrest, if just to go back over this, so most people we do see, they're going to fall in one of these two categories. You just used the 1%. So let's say they were one of those, they worked longer, they had a long career. We're just going to take that same number. And if they were getting that, then this would just be times 1.1%.
That's right.
So
exact same equation.
Everything else is the same. We're just changing the factor that they're getting to use for their retirement. So it'd be 270 times the 1.1, and that would work that way. So
that's right.
Yeah.
It's just an extra incentive to stay a little bit longer, past 62, with 20 years of service. They give you an extra bump for that.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're looking at your leave and earnings statement, don't forget if you have sick days, you know, that can make these years of service more because you can use that for buying years of service or time in service.
That's right. So at the end of your career, you can't get like a lump sum of sick days paid out to you in a bonus structure. They just add to your annuity amount that you can get. So if you got a big amount of sick days banked up, you get a higher annuity amount.
Yep. So hope that helps everybody. There's the federal retirement system is really, really complicated. And these are one of those, this is a scenario where we're just trying to make it a little more user-friendly and easier for y'all to understand. So if you have any questions, always call the office. We're glad to help anybody. We can run your federal retirement system through our software, give you a big report. It'll help you out. So as always, y'all have a great week. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.